Hello, everybody, and welcome to Thrive, where I believe you were not created to survive, but to thrive. And if you change yourself, you can change your world. And I'm your host, Alex Sagot. Welcome back to another episode. I'm excited to be with the guest today that you guys know and I absolutely love. My wife, Diana, is in the building today, in the studio today, catching up on another episode. We haven't done one together since season 2 of Cultivate. I think that was our last one where we kind of caught up. And just wanted you to come by and catch up on all things life, parenting, marriage, all of that. How are you doing? As we start 2025, how are you doing?
What an honor to join you on this new season.
Are you doing good?
I'm doing fantastic.
How's
Fabulous.
the new year treating you so far?
The new year is treating me well, I want to say.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a rough start.
But, it's one of those things that I can't say because of that. It's been bad.
No.
It's been good.
Why we say it's been a rough start is because Arya had hand, foot, and mouth. Then I got hand, foot, and mouth, which we didn't know adults can get it, which was crazy.
And you got it worse than she did.
Yeah, I got it bad. And then I come to find out Adam had it too. Then I come to find out my friend Jason had it. My friend Carlos have had it. So I'm like, okay, so adults get it too. It was absolutely wild. And then you got COVID. I got COVID, which I didn't even know was still around. It's been an interesting start of the year, but like you said, not bad. We just roll with the punches. It is what it is, and the devil is a liar. And we're going to keep rolling.
But you keep moving, and that's it. And it's been good, and it's been great.
Do you? Go ahead.
No, I was saying that sometimes we can hyper focus on all the bad, and it's like, yes, we go through a lot of things, but life is good at the same time. God is good, and there are plenty of other reasons to thank God for and celebrate and look forward to.
Yeah. You're not an overthinker like me.
I am most definitely not.
Diana's really good at just like keeping
moving on, which is also not good either.
Yeah, that can be
because we're very extreme. You're very much extreme. What's the word when you, make tragic? What's the word?
Catastrophize?
You catastrophize a lot.
Yeah. Shout out to Ernie, my therapist, who helped me.
I'm
an overthinker. I think a million different scenarios about one situation. I think it through. I'll stay days thinking about situations. What can I do? What can I? You will just keep it going.
Yes. So there's good and bad to each one. So I would say it's good that you think things through and you can just think about different scenarios and whatnot. If you overdo it, it's not that great. For me, it's great that I can move on from things, but I think it's also a coping mechanism. And sometimes you can just sweep things under the rug to keep going and it'll catch up to you in the future.
It will.
So it's a little bit of...
Jordan Peterson says it's the dragon underneath the bed.
Yeah.
And if you keep the dragon underneath the bed, sooner or later the dragon becomes so big, it moves the bed, disturbs the bed, and you never fixed the issue.
Correct. So
deal with your dragon.
I got a little dragon under my bed.
But you're like that with everything. I mean, I think we talked about it maybe in another episode. Even with arguments or discussions we may have, we don't have a lot.
I was thinking about that this morning because I'm doing an episode on Cultivate about conflict
season 3
resolution.
Coming as well. Yes. Okay, so what are your thoughts?
I was thinking that you have to come to a point where you learn how the other person reacts and how they think. Because sometimes if you don't understand that, you'll take things personal.
Okay.
But when you understand how the other person operates and they move and how their mind works, and it's easier for you to understand why someone acts a certain way, why a certain answer. And I think we both have come a long way in how we react and what we do and understanding each other better and changing, because it's also not to say that's the way you are, so be like that forever. So it's an evolution of who we are, but also understanding each other.
Yes. I think you're right, 100%. And I agree. But although I agree, I would say, but that takes time.
Absolutely. We've been married 15 years. Yeah. And I think it's taken 13. No.
13 and 3/4.
No, I think it's little things. So I think it's little things that got better. And then there's something else that we can continue to get better and like that.
But it does help with conflict resolution.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I understand you a whole lot more now. Yeah. You understand me a whole lot more now.
Yeah.
So when there is conflict or discussion.
So, I move on rather quickly from any kind of thought.
Yeah, like if we were to have a discussion or a disagreement, and we were to get upset, you would be upset for 10 minutes.
If that.
And then you're like, hey, let's go to the mall. I need to go pick something. I
literally forget about what we even argued about.
Yeah.
I've moved on.
No, you
I don't care.
I would be upset.
For 3 days, 3 business days.
That was 14 years ago.
2 to 3 business days. No, that was a
long time ago. I asked God to change too, because I knew that was an issue in me where I would get upset and just be like, no, I'm not talking. And I would shut down. I got that from my dad. I'm thinking about interviewing my dad in Spanish.
You should.
Right? I think that'd be really cool.
For those who need translation.
But
you recognize that.
The Holy Spirit to translate for you.
You recognize that and you work on it.
You have to look inside and be like, okay, hold on. I'm repeating a pattern here. I don't want to shut down and not talk. And I feel like in the last decade that I've been able to work on that.
Yeah.
Thank God. But conflict resolution.
And
Did we just do your episode here?
I have a smart mouth too.
We just did your episode, right?
No,
here?
there's a lot more.
What is it?
No, I'm not gonna say it.
You do. You do have
so
a nice,
I've also changed
attitude. Yeah. I see it mostly when you talk to your mom.
Because I inherited her attitude.
Because I
inherited her attitude and my daughter inherited mine.
Facts. Aria is
not a terrible attitude. You just got one.
One of the things that I loved when I first met you is that you are confident and strong. And I feel like Aria is going to be confident and strong.
Yeah, she is.
So that's admirable. That confident and strong can turn into a very smart mouth, smart attitude, tough attitude. So I would say, I would just want to make it clear, we're joking a lot around here, but it's never turned into disrespect in our marriage. We can have discussions, we can disagree. You've never crossed a line of disrespect, and I feel like I've never crossed a line of disrespect. So that's why I say it's funnier with your mom, because with your mom, not that you've crossed disrespect, you don't disrespect your mom, you honor her too, but I see more of your strong attitude with her because it's different. It's a mom than your husband.
We've had conversations also about mother-daughter relationships.
Yeah, so
which is a completely different layer. Different. Yeah, and I absolutely adore
what was it that
my
we were
mom.
talking to friends the other day, and so what was it that with a mother and daughter?
Yeah, you butt heads a lot more because you are the same person in essence. You're literally fighting with yourself, and boys are tougher on, like, dads are tougher on their boys because you're a female, you're a male. You kind of see each other at your same level, I would say.
So the idea, is this true? Is that moms have a tougher time with girls, raising girls, because you're almost kind of confronting yourself, and dads have a little bit of a tough relationship with boys.
I wouldn't say necessarily a tough relationship, but a different relationship. I think that just because
is that true? Let us know in the comments.
Boy,
is that true?
Boy on boy, you want your boy to be tough because you 100%. Know what it's like to be a boy. And so I'm a girl and I'm rough. So I'll be, like you expect different things. So what you're saying is, like, if we were to have a boy, you would treat I can't publicly say that I would treat him differently. I will treat him differently. You absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Aria.
If we do have a boy, don't make him a mom.
I don't mean differently like I would favor him, but it would be. But I think it is different. I think whoever tells you it isn't, they might be lying to you. It's not. I don't want to say you love different because you're gonna love your children all the same. You love your children. I think it's just a different dynamic.
When you see Aria,
tell me if this is true or not. I think it's true.
When you see Aria, do you see yourself, like, attitude-wise?
100%. Aria is as gentle as I am, and we joke about this because I am not gentle.
Okay, but is that what you're trying to correct? Is that why the relationship is different?
No, it's not that I'm trying to correct. I think it's a matter of you treat as a girl, another girl is like on your level. So I expect certain things of her. And I don't think I'm communicating this necessarily correctly because she's 2 years old.
You sound like a
tyrant. No, I mean, so there's not a lot of things I can say or examples. I can think of me and my mom.
Okay.
And so because you're a girl, I don't even know. I can't put it into words, but I do think it's a different dynamic, not a different relationship, not a different type of love, I just think it's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
And I think you see it. Like, girls give their moms a hard time sometimes because you're just a girl.
Okay, now I remember. Yes, we were talking to our friends, Manny and Adri. And so Manny has a tough time with Cheeky, that's his son, because he says, my son is just like me. And so he challenges me. And so I'm trying to, where with his daughter, he's that's like his princess. He loves her with
and
Emma.
You're a boy, so you're rougher on your boy because you're a man. So you treat him like a man.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And then Adri was having a little bit of a tough time with Emma because it's almost like, you see a reflection of you. And it's like, understanding. And the son,
girls just be
Cheeky,
trying
like
you.
mama's
I
boy.
tell you.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Aria's only 2. We'll see.
Right.
But she already started, this past week, she started giving us a little bit of an attitude. And so we got to correct it. It's funny now because when we correct her, she goes to tell the other parent
She's a snitch.
about what we just did. She really is. I'm like, you're only 2 years old to be snitching.
But it's funny how even so early on you see their personalities, and I can see so much of myself in her.
Absolutely.
Like I see, and we talk about it all the time. She's strong-willed, and she knows what she wants, and she'll tell you in a second.
Yeah.
And then she's so loving.
She's
so caring,
sweet.
and she's so sweet, but she's also so not.
Yeah, there's times where she
And that's very me.
No, but I'd rather her be tough. There's times where she'll come up to us and just give us like the biggest hugs and kisses and be so sweet, lay her head on our shoulders and just be with us. And then, but she is also very independent, and I love it, and very tough. Parenting is a journey. It's awesome. I'm loving it. We're 2 years in.
Mm-hmm.
We only have one daughter. We only have one child. Hopefully, number 2, 3, and 4.
But all the parents in the comments, let us know your thoughts. And I think I'm onto something here, and I think maybe I haven't been able to express it correctly.
Yeah.
But we're just 2 years in.
I think, from our conversation with different friends, I think you are right. 100%. It is different. But it's just a new dynamic, a new season where we're all learning.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, shout out to Legacy Parent On the Way podcast. That's also
I'm excited for that because this
learning.
is one season. She's a toddler, but as she continues to grow, the challenges are different. Yeah. The attitudes are different. The world you're living in, it's different.
We don't want to accept, and I don't want to label terrible 2s on my daughter. She just turned 2, but we did see a slight change.
A little terrible.
It's like, but they're almost like
it's
they
much
want
more
independence.
emotional.
They want to communicate. And it is interesting, right? Like human beings, every season of our life is absolutely interesting. But that's why we're doing these podcasts. On the way, we want to talk about parenting and helping out, cultivate. We're going to talk about motherhood, and you're going to keep on having that conversation. And Thrive, we'll talk about leadership.
We got here by speaking on conflict resolution, and we ended up on parenting.
Yeah, because there's conflict everywhere.
Parenting too.
There is conflict in parenting.
Yeah, in everything.
And there's even conflict in how you're going to raise your kids.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this before on maybe some episode, but you were disciplined, but not the way I was disciplined.
I was disciplined differently than how you were disciplined.
What do you mean by that?
I never got a beating by my parents.
Do you you don't have no recollection of ever getting a spanking?
No, because I never got one. But you have to understand also that I feel like
that's pretty wild.
That's not to say that I was a perfect. Listen, as a child, I was a good child, and you've spoken to my mom about this. I was
She says you were really good.
That I was really good, and like if you would reason with me, I would understand. I would just, I didn't need to be spanked. When I was a teenager, I should have gotten beat for sure, because like I said, I'm a smart mouth, and I would just answer back, and I always had something to say. My mom and I would get into arguments, and again, not in a disrespectful way, but I always had something else to add to the conversation. And if I would have been my mom, I would have smacked myself in the mouth several times.
You should have been spanked.
Not spanked. I should have probably been hit in the mouth when I was like 14, 15.
Yeah, you should have gotten some level of physical discipline.
At that point, maybe once would have been enough.
Maybe if you would have gotten it earlier, you would have not done that later.
No, maybe I would have just gotten spanked more.
I believe in discipline. I got disciplined.
That's what I was going to say. It's not that I didn't get disciplined. I got a different kind of discipline because I was a different child.
But
I
believe,
a different child.
I believe you should discipline. I believe I don't mean beating. I mean, obviously, I think our audience is mature enough to understand what we're saying. But I think physical discipline is biblical, number one. Number two, I get it. There's some if your mom is really, and I don't think she's lying, she's honest, that you were really good and you could reason and understand. And
Well,
so
my
you were
dad
like
wasn't
14,
like my mom,
15,
and my dad also never
hit you.
spanked me or hit me.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, so you were
Just accept it. I was a great child.
a golden child, and the attitude didn't come till later. But I do think it's a very important topic because we have seen more lenient parenting over the last decade. I would say more than ever before. We're kids now.
Yeah.
I mean, we were youth pastors for 2 years, and we would see parents that would let their kids do anything.
I think it's a fine line because you have to understand everyone's background. So you have someone like you that your parents spanked you here and there, but it wasn't abuse. There are people that were abused, basically.
100%. That's
and so they have
extreme.
It was extreme. So now you have kids and you want to stay so far away from that, and you don't ever want your child to experience that that you experienced. And so you go too much into this gentle parenting, and what happens oftentimes is that in trying not to do what your parents did, now you completely disregard certain things, like certain corrections that you should have and that you should set in place for your children. And so you end up just having a permissive free-for-all, no rules, or kids do whatever.
I want to be careful in talking about. I'm gonna start doing my research on this whole gentle parenting thing because I don't know exactly what it's about. I don't think it means no discipline.
But some people can take it there, though. That's the thing, is that some people, you see kids hitting their parents, and parents do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that is wild.
And it's like it started somewhere. Kids doesn't just start hitting you and literally like just beating you. Like, that's unacceptable. And so I understand you're not going to go beat your child, but you have to start somewhere, that there are certain rules. A generation of kids who do not know what it is to honor their parents because they've just been given everything. Yeah. And so you have kids who treat their parents however, who think they deserve the world, who think they need to be catered to. And parents don't realize that you're actually doing them a disservice by not letting them realize how life actually works.
I remember being 12, 13 years old, and my parents forcing me, my dad and my mom forcing me and my brother to get out of bed, and we're going to go work. We're going to go work with my dad on a Saturday. My dad would be in the garage working on his small business or at the shop once he got his shop. And you're going to go work. And, you're angry as a 12, 13-year-old. Like, I just want to stay home playing video games or playing with my friends. And although I didn't like it at the moment, years later, again, it wasn't almost every Saturday or whatever, but it was a lot. Some Saturdays we stayed with friends, all that. But the older we got, the more. And I do appreciate it now because our parents, I think, instilled in us, like, this is life. Life is hard. Life, you got to work hard. You got to be disciplined. You can't stay in bed. You hear the stories of my mom, opening the door at, 8:30 in the morning, waking us up on a Saturday. She didn't let us sleep in. I get it. That can be a little bit extreme. But years later, I think it instilled in us something that now, if I ever even feel remotely lazy, I'm like, no, I got to get up. I got to do something. If I ever feel like I'm too chill, life is hard. Like, you got to get up, work, get up early, do what you got to do, work. And nowadays we are seeing kids who are extremely, there's kids that, don't leave their rooms. There's kids that today don't know what hard work is. They
can't wash a dish. They can't help their parents bring in groceries. They can't help in any way. And
if I didn't help my parents bring in groceries, my goodness, we would be in trouble. If we didn't go help my dad clean the garage or his shop, we would be in trouble. We couldn't get away with it.
Because some parents, what we're doing is raising children for ourselves. And that's the mistake. We're not raising children for ourselves because we're going to die one day. We're raising children to change the world, to be good citizens, to have,
I think what I've heard is that, well, I didn't like the way I was raised and it caused trauma in me. So I don't want to do that to my kids.
Again, fine line. I believe that there are people who were more than corrected were abused. And I think that is a reality. And so I understand why
Agreed.
some people do not want their children to live through what they lived through. And I 100% can see that and agree with that. However, you can't go to the other side where there are no rules and everything goes, and I just don't want to traumatize him or her, so let me not, put them in timeout, or let me not, take this away from them, or let me not. So it's a fine line. There has to be rules, and there has to be, respect. And there's certain things that you're doing because you love your child.
Absolutely.
And so correction is a form of love. God corrects us because he loves us. And so, yes, you don't have to go beat your child, but there are corrections. There are moments where you have to teach something, and your child is going to be disappointed because we want to do whatever we want to do, but you are doing it for them. You're doing to shape them, to mold them, to help them be the best they can be. And
100%. The Bible says that children are like arrows in a quiver. And I heard somebody recently, I'm trying to remember who it was, that said, what do you do with arrows? Well, they're in your quiver. And then when you're ready, you take that arrow out and you stretch the bow and arrow as far back as you can. And that's discipline. That is raising them. That is teaching them. That is not being their friend. That's being their parents, by the way, which is a different. I'm not Arya's friend. I'm Arya's dad.
Yeah.
It's very different. And so you're stretching them. You're stretching. You got to stretch your kids because life is difficult. Life is challenging. Life is full of suffering. And so you're going to stretch. You're going to stretch your kids out. You're going to point them in the right direction. And then when it's time, you let them go. And hopefully, because you've stretched them far enough, hopefully, if you've stretched them and you've taught them the right way and you've aimed them in the right direction, they will go and hit a goal. They'll hit the target. Now, I thought that was absolutely profound because what we have nowadays is we have arrows in the quiver, number one, that we don't take out of the quiver. So they're sheltered. They're at home. They've never had to work. They've never had no discipline. They've never been stretched. Yeah. So when you let them go, it's going to be an arrow that falls to the ground. And I think that was so profound when I heard that. And I'm like, that is absolutely true. I feel like that's what my parents did with us. We were arrows in the quiver, and then they stretched us. They disciplined us. They raised us. Our Monday nights Bible study, about going to church no matter what, about working hard. Like that was my life. That was, again, my parents were very fun and they allowed us to have fun. And we had out in the neighborhood and all that. But you got to stretch your kids. Yes. Otherwise, I think,
you're setting them up for failure.
100%.
And it's on you.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that, and trying to protect them and keep them. And you don't want to fail them as parents, and you don't want to send them out into the world with
unprepared.
No tools and unprepared. And you had a different upbringing than I did. And so I know there might be people watching that are like, well, I don't have this home. Like you explained, well, I had a single mom that had 2 and 3 jobs. And so even in that, it's not about having the perfect family. It's about doing the best that you can with what you have. Yeah. And so I had a mom who, one of the things that I just appreciate so much about her is that I knew I could approach my mom about anything. And I knew that it doesn't matter what mistake I made, whatever, that I could go to my mom and that my mom was willing to listen to me, not ready to yell at me, not ready to tell me off, correct me, but love on me. And that is something that I want my daughter, my children to be able to feel towards me, that if I ever make a mistake, because I think it's the heart of God. I think it's what God does. When we get ourselves in trouble.
That's right.
We run to God.
Yeah.
Like God isn't pushing us away.
Come
God is saying,
with confidence,
come to me. And yes, we'll figure out. Yes, there might be consequences because of what you've done, but you're loved regardless. And we'll walk this together. And so to me, that is just absolutely incredible. I got to see my mom work so hard. And so I have a level of appreciation for my mom that a lot of kids nowadays don't have because, again, they just have everything. And it's awesome, like that parents could do that. But I think it's good to teach your children the value of things. Yeah. Like you don't just get everything because things fall from the sky, but because we work so hard. And so even if you could give your children everything, maybe you just shouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe you should teach your children to work for things, to earn things, so that you know that in life you have to work hard to get what you want, to get places, that not everything in life is free. And I think it teaches you also the value to honor your parents, to honor their work. Because of that, I started working at a party place when I was 16 and 17, and I
Is
would
that when you used to
dress
dress up as characters?
Yeah, as characters. And because we didn't have a lot.
Yeah.
And so that made me, because I honored my mom and I saw the hard work, that I'm going to do something to help, and I have to do something. And so it's not about having the best, perfect family situation.
No, yeah, you might be in
it's
a
about
single
making
parent
the
home.
best that you can with what you have.
Yeah. Yeah, I just do agree. There's going to be conflict.
Yeah.
Talk about conflict resolution. There's going to be conflict resolution in marriage. There's going to be conflict resolution in relationship. There's going to be conflict resolution in raising kids. You don't avoid conflict and just let people do whatever they want. You address conflict. And discipline is a big part of that. I do feel like, I don't know, times are changing.
Yeah.
And I feel like almost we're going back into a healthier place. I feel like the last decade or two has been weird all around the world, but mostly maybe in our country. We've seen a lot of, and now, I don't know, I feel like there's a new day. There's a new, I feel like people are realizing left to ourselves, we're a mess.
So we start realizing that it doesn't work how we think.
Yeah.
We think we have the answers, and we think that if we do it this way, and it's like we're realizing what we've created.
Yeah.
And
I
it's not
allowed
good.
a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old to make decisions. And then now we're seeing the consequences when they turn 18, 19, 20, that maybe that wasn't the right way. So now I feel like we're going back to a place where maybe America at one point had more of solid families.
Yeah.
And I feel like people are starting to, a couple of our friends even, like, we have some dear friends of mine. I was just talking to them this morning. Alex and Megan moved out to a farm. They're raising their kids on a farm, and they're kind of just like,
living vicariously through them.
I know. We see their Instagram, and we are living. Alex and Megan, we love you. And they have sheep and pigs and all that. It's amazing. But I feel like that's almost like it's become a trend now, where we talk about all the time. People on social media, they're like, we're off the grid. We're going to go raise our family. We're going away from the big city. Nothing wrong with big cities. Or even if you live in Miami, we're going off a little bit a little bit at a distance. And moms are at home making sourdough bread.
It's priorities. I think we have come to a place where we have understood again, or put back things in the place they should be. Yeah. So we went from that in the past to being very, and again, it's not, any of these things are not bad. You could be career driven. You could have goals. You could have all this ambition. Yes. But I think for a little while, we put family last. Yeah. We put our values last, our morals last, and we just put everything else before.
Career, money.
And now we're realizing that actually, no, what matters is my family.
100%.
What matters is what I'm building for the future. What matters is not how much I can have, but the quality of what I can build.
Very good.
And that changes everything. Yeah. I love seeing, I'm not a stay-at-home homeschool mom. Yeah. I know that's not my gift, but I love seeing so many women now saying like, no, there's so much value in that. Yeah. There's so much value in raising my children and teaching them and spending time with them.
Well, I was going to say, I think you're not the stay-at-home type mom. You wouldn't be able to stay at home. You'll go a little bit insane, but you don't put our church before Aria. And
absolutely
you
not.
go home with her right after school.
100%.
She's done it after school, and you spend the rest of the afternoon with her every night, every morning. So I think there is a healthy balance. Not everybody is a stay-at-home.
But that's what what I'm saying is priorities. And I understand as I say this that there are a lot of moms who just cannot do it because you have to work a 9 to 5. Your kid has to stay in. So I'm not trying to shame that. Like, you're doing, again, the best that you can with what you have. But the time that you do have is quality time, but you're trying your best. All I'm trying to say is we're going to a place where we are realigning priorities, and we're realizing that what we've been chasing after wasn't really what mattered, and is not the answer. And I love that. I love seeing that.
It's a good conversation. I think we just did your conflict resolution episode here.
No, we haven't.
We got some questions I want us to answer. But we're going to continue talking about parenting and marriage and dating.
Sorry, all to say we're not experts in parenting, so anything we say,
we're not experts at all. We're just learning. We're continuing to learn. we are.
We're just speaking from our experience as children growing up in our homes, and our experience with our daughter and what we see in the community around us and the people around us and what we think could work.
No, now raising our daughter Aria 2 years in, my respect has gone through the roof for my parents. I don't know how they did it with three of us. We're only handling one right now.
Yeah.
And going on vacation or going anywhere with one. I don't know how my parents did it with three. We salute all the good parents out there. But I do want to have 3 or 4. So hopefully that'll happen. And God willing, we're praying. And we'll see. We navigate it and continue to resolve conflict. But that was a good conversation.
Great.
I just want to answer some questions really quick before we move on, because some people have asked some questions. I got some through social media. Are you big on resolutions? Like 2025, the year started. What are some resolutions you have, or what are some goals?
I am not a resolution person, I don't think. I do think about goals or things I want for the new year. Things that I want to change, things that I want to do better, but I'm not your vision board girl. I am not a person that overthinks this. I just sit down or in my daily life, might write down a few things that I want to do, that I want to change, some things that maybe I want to do better. And I try to be mindful of them, but I'm not.
But you do that, I think, often. You don't do it just necessarily at the beginning of the year.
No.
Yeah, you do that often. If you did have a goal or two this year, do you have any that you can think
of? Different things. So definitely, I think something that all of us think about is being better in our spiritual relationship with God. So, spending more time with God, the best that I can. Being healthier. I feel like it's always a theme. Like, I always want to be healthy because I don't keep that resolution very often. But just being mindful. I think that I'm someone that if I put a lot of pressure on myself, if I fail or if I don't do what I think I have to do, then I just
give up on everything.
Yeah. And I'm like, forget this. So I've learned to be a little bit more flexible and gracious with myself.
Yeah, do one step instead of 10.
Yeah, and if I fail at this one thing today, then I don't feel this horrible sense of pressure over me. And then I'm able to just pick it back up and keep going.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do that. And then, continue to be the best mom I can be, spend more time with Aria if I can, or just the time that I have with her, really, for it to be meaningful and be present. When it comes to church, Flourish, there's so many things I want to do. We have Flourish happening soon. And then, I think a lot about church stuff, how to do things better, how we can reach people, how we can meet people where they're at and really answer questions they're asking and different things like that.
Yeah.
Our marriage. So it's just little things that I could do better or that I want to be more intentional about. There really isn't anything massive that I'm like.
I'm not big on resolutions either. I've never been, but I am very goal oriented. And I don't know why, since I was maybe 16, 17, 18, I don't remember. But I started writing down goals. I do remember one time, I must have been, 18, 19. I wrote down like 20 goals or 25 things I wanted to do in my life. I wish I could find that paper. Who knows where it is? Threw it away maybe at some point. But I would say if I can remember a little bit off that list, I've done maybe half already of what was on that list. So I do think having goals is important.
It is, yeah.
I don't think you should do, or if you don't want to, not that you have to have New Year's resolutions. But I do think you definitely need goals in life. If you don't have a goal in life, then what are you living for?
Yeah.
Write down some goals. There's something about having a desire, the aim to do stuff. And there's a lot of stuff I still want to do.
Yeah, I think what we shouldn't do, I think the problem is that we forget that we work different than other people. And so we see someone that does a vision board, someone that does this, and we feel like, that's what I need. Yeah. Oh, then that's what I need. And we all process and think so differently. Definitely have goals. Definitely take the time to sit down and think about who you want to be, who you want to become, what kind of life, family, children do you want to have, and what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
but do it in a way that works for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if not, you're just adding pressure and things into your life that's just not how your mind works and how you work.
Yeah. Okay. Another question. As a new believer, what are some things that you can do to get closer to God? As a new believer, what are some things that you can do to get closer to God?
I think who you surround yourself with plays a huge part.
That was going to be my first one.
We might not think that gets me closer to God, but it helps me not go further away from God. It helps me gain more wisdom. It helps me when I have doubt, questions. I have the right people around me that are going to help me get better and grow. So I would say watch your circle. When we say get out of certain relationships or certain friendships, it's not that we're saying don't value those people, don't love those people. It's just, especially at the beginning, you have to be so careful who you're around and who you listen to. I think it's pretty vital. And then I would say just try to have a personal relationship with God, meaning read your Bible, pray. You know, sometimes, especially when we first come into church, we think prayer has to be this really just lengthy, I'm not doing anything, nobody talk to me. But it's just being mindful of God. You could be driving and thinking about God. You can be driving and saying, God, give me wisdom. God, help me today with work. And I have this situation. God, give me wisdom. And so just being mindful of God and building that, it's just like any other relationship. So I would say your group, your people you're surrounded by, and just being mindful of God and involving God into your life and every situation and moment in your life.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. If there was anything I could say, I'm trying to, if I could narrow it down to one word, it's the word surround. And I mean that in every aspect. If you're a new believer, you want a relationship with God, number one, there may be some people you can't be surrounded by.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number two, there should be some people you are surrounded by. Number three, there is some maybe environments, music, language that you shouldn't be surrounded by. Yeah. There is some other music, scripture, verse that you should be surrounded. So the word is surrounded. To me, what you're not surrounded with and what you are surrounded with matters. And again, this is not just for any believer. I think it's for anybody in life. But okay, maybe some friends, I'm going to have to just separate myself from them for a season or 2 or 3 or 4. They don't want to, we don't have the same values anymore. We don't have the same vision. So I'm not going to surround myself. Surround yourself with good, godly people. Get in a church. Surround yourself with people who have the same vision, alignment, goals, and aims. And so get in a good Bible-based church and make sure you try to be there every Sunday. Like the importance of showing up every Sunday. Consistency matters, especially when you're a new believer. I'm going to be in church as much as I can. I want to get surrounded. I'm going to get in a connect group. That matters. Yeah. Some of the music I used to listen to or whatever, it's like, I'm not going to surround myself with that. I want stuff that surrounds me with God's word, that points me up, that reminds me of some verses. The Bible says I'm going to surround myself in prayer. So yeah, all of that. Yeah. I think those are good goals just to start walking new believer things that can get closer to God. And as you start getting closer to God's people, God's presence, you're going to be closer to God in your everyday life. But shout out to you, whoever you are, that you are getting closer to God. Okay, I'm trying to understand this question. Is there anything wrong with re-waiting till marriage? And then in parentheses, and lust. The social media gave us this. I think maybe what they mean, is there anything wrong with re-waiting till marriage? I think maybe this couple, no. Is there anything wrong with re-waiting till marriage? Maybe this couple like messed up. Maybe they had sex or whatever, and they're not married. Now they're going to re-wait till marriage.
No, I think that's great.
I 100% agree.
I think that just because you made a mistake or did something that you shouldn't have done doesn't mean that you can't start doing what's again. Right. Yeah. So I think that's actually a beautiful thing. And if that's the case, I think God honors that. Yep. And, good for you.
A shout out to you. I actually think that's the godly way. 100%. We've known a ton of people in the last 11 years of doing ministry or whatever, however long we've been in ministry. I think 13 years. We've known couples that are living together, and then because we start talking to them and they get saved and they separate
and they want to
get
married now. They separate for a season.
I remember this one couple that I was going to be the minister of the wedding, and I started doing counseling for them. And I remember I said, well, the Bible says this, and we start talking a little bit over counseling. And the guy was kind of like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go back to my mom's house in the meantime. And he did that. And so that's re-waiting till marriage.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, our wedding's 3-4 months away. He's like, I want to honor God. I don't want to have sex if we're not married. Like, and they were new believers.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super dope. Obviously, the world doesn't, whoever's watching this and doesn't have a relationship with Jesus, has no church background, to them it's gonna be like super weird because now it's normal. And it's like, no, some of us just really want to honor God as much as we can. Doesn't mean we're perfect. Some of us are gonna mess up. Some of us but as much as we can, we want to honor God. So I think, like you said, everything right with re-waiting.
Yeah.
You might have messed up in the past. It's new grace, new day,
100%.
new compassions, new mercy. Start again. Hey, we're
Yeah.
gonna honor each other and we're gonna honor God and we're gonna wait till we get married. All the power to you. And I would say, again, surround yourself with people that are going to help you there, with people that are going to help you in that area to say, stay pure. I remember I had a friend that I used to call all the time. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm being tempted. I wanted to, stay pure. And so 100% shout out to you. Maybe we'll get one more question and then we'll start wrapping this up. How do I know something I love doing is God's calling for me? That's really good. How do I know something I love doing is God's calling for me?
I think you should answer this one.
Yeah, I would say, I actually think God gives you the desires of your heart.
Yeah.
And so I think many times God's will goes along with our desires. As far as a passion, a burden, something that you really want. Obviously, there's some times where it's completely opposite. But that's when we say not my will, but your will. But something that you love doing could be God's calling for your life. For example, I loved helping people. I used to love trying to sit down one-on-one and helping people navigate and think and process. And here I am now pastoring and I get to do this for a living. So I think when it comes to that, they're very much aligned sometimes, that if God has put a passion in your heart, God has put something in your heart that you absolutely love, many times it does reveal your calling.
I think when I get questions like this, I start thinking about, I think there's layers to peel on questions like this, because sometimes I feel like in Christian circles, God's call or God's will has been represented as just this very thing, that, and I think it could be several things. Yeah. And I think it doesn't have to look how we sometimes think it looks like. But I do agree with you. I think your call can be very much aligned with a gifting and a desire God put in your heart. Mm-hmm. So you talk about helping people. For you was being able to share the gospel and, being a pastor. For someone else, that they feel the call and the desire to help people, it might be being involved in a ministry that is continually, helping people. It might be at your workplace. Your job might not have nothing to do with church, but that could be your call to, help people, to guide people. And so I would just say or ask, what do you mean exactly by that? Do you mean like a career, a vocation, a gifting? Yeah. And allow God to guide you and know that you could do those things in so many areas of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about, friends that we were talking to a couple of weeks ago. Their passion is sports. So they love sports. In fact, God opened up a door. That's their career. In that, God is using them to speak to people, to all that.
Yeah.
But, that could be, that's their calling, is to play sports. They're athletes, now doing it at a professional level, but they're helping out a ton of people now through that. So it could mean, a lot of different things.
Right. And I think, for me, I would say, to me, it was also helping people. But for you, helping people was very spiritual, like bringing people to God. And that doesn't mean that I don't want to bring people to God. Like, that's what we do. But to me, it was very much meeting people's needs and helping people that are suffering or that are being suffering from injustice. Like, I've always had a heart for that. Yeah. And so I get to do that through church, through leading people to Jesus, through, what we do on Sundays, on every gathering that we do, Flourish. But I get to do that through City Care, where we actually physically meet the needs of people. Yeah. And I know that is my call. I know I have a big call for feeling for people and having empathy for people and meeting people where they're in the middle. Like, that's just who I am and the way God wired me to be. Yeah. And I think God uses me in that way. And I'm going to now use that to serve God in whichever way I can, through whichever ministry or way I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think if you start looking to see what you love, you'll start to, that'll lead you maybe toward
and usually God gifts
different
you in
things
that area
wants
as
to.
well.
100%. Yeah. Okay. We'll leave some answers for part 2. This episode, I thought it was gonna be a quick one. We've gone a little bit of while. We started talking about
45
parenting,
minutes.
marriage, conflict resolution, discipline, you being not disciplined growing up, and then we answered a couple of questions. But I appreciate you and love you, and we're believing this year's gonna be the best. In Jesus' name,
Love
God
you.
before us, have mercy on us. We should do a quick round, a fire round.
Jesus Christ.
Let's do a quick fire round before we leave. We'll leave on a fire round as we talk about, I'll give you 3-4 subjects and give me the first word that comes to your mind. Okay? Are you in for fire round?
Sure.
Let's go in for fire round.
I'm terrible at fire rounds.
Okay.
Asking you.
Okay, let's go. Fire rounds. I'm just going to say something and you give me your first word that comes to your mind. Okay?
Yes.
Here we go.
Oh, God.
Fire round. Colombia.
Love.
Politics.
Love.
Love politics.
I like politics.
I
You know
know.
I do.
Yeah. Give me a different word.
Interesting.
Let's go with marriage.
Fun.
Kids.
Can I use love again?
Nope.
Tired.
How many?
1.
No, how many do you want to have?
Oh, you told me to tell you something by whatever you give
No,
me.
I meant like-
I have 1. No, that wasn't a full question. That was just kids.
How many kids do you want to have?
I don't know.
Let's go for 5. I love you. It's been awesome having you on Thrive. Let's do this again. I love you.
Love you. Bye.
Remember, you can change yourself. You can change your world. Let's go.